Is an LA Guns reunion at all possible in 2024? How's it going, everyone? You're watching Everything Else Channel on YouTube, everythingelssechannel.com. LA Guns are probably the sleaziest, dirtiest, rawest, unfiltered Sunset Strip band. They live it. Motorcycles, tattoos, living life to the fullest. That's LA Guns. They have platinum selling albums, top 40 singles. They lived excess's best. They were on top of the world. The Sunset Strip was their oyster. Unfortunately, though, all supergroups, the Beatles, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, they break up. It happens. And with LA Guns, they've had like 300 probably musicians play at different times. They've had Jizzy Pearl. They've had legendary Tough lead singer Stevie Rochelle, I believe, might have played a show with them as part of their band on some level. I don't know. They're like London, really. The only difference is that most of the people that have played in LA Guns don't go on to be superstars. But with London, that was the school of rock. If you saw Western Decline of Civilization Part 2, the metal years, you would know what I'm talking about. But the reality of the matter is that with the passing of Steve Riley and the animosity between him and Tracii Guns, original lead guitarist, it honestly, to me, was heartbreaking. Because in the 90s, I was an LA Guns fan, and I saw these guys trying to work that name and that brand, keep it alive, take it to new audiences. They tried American Hardcore. Maybe they regret it now, but it was a pretty killer album. I was like, what the hell is this? The same way I was like, what the hell is this with the Motley Crue 94 album? Although I was expecting that album to be killer, and it was. They did Shrinking Violet. They did Black Beauties when they got the whole band together. They did Man on the Moon, which is a fantastic record. But the last couple years, Riley's LA Guns, in my opinion, were just so much better. They were so much more connected or embracing or honoring that era that the band came up in. And the other LA Guns, which was Phil Lewis and Tracii Guns, they were putting out what I would consider to be studio rock. And I wasn't really impressed. Musically, structurally, it was good. Very good. But I'm not trying to listen to a Monkees type band in 2023, 2022, because we're talking about the last couple of years. So it didn't do it for me. It's like they took the grit and the grime and the sleaze out of LA Guns and gave us this kind of like very professional, very nice sounding, very good sounding, crisp sounding piece of music or album. And I just wasn't, I can't even say I listened to the whole album, to be honest with you. And there've been a couple of those. Whereas Riley's LA Guns, it's dangerous. It's hardcore. It pumps you up, makes you want to jump up and go do something or someone, And the thing is that the other one is just like, it's like a castrated version of LA Guns and like a eunuch. You know what I mean? In any event, with Steve Riley passing, a full reunion now is impossible. Tracii could dig up Nicky Bones or whatever his name was. I don't even remember. No disrespect. You were like on one. You weren't. I don't know. Whatever. No disrespect though. But the classic lineup: Steve, Kelly, Mick, Tracii, and Phil. Now you can't have that anymore. And I don't even know. Phil, LA Guns, whatever, put out some half-assed one-line rest in peace Steve. Very, very inappropriate. They should have done a lot more. They didn't. But I don't even think Tracii Guns ever made any kind of a statement. And the last interview he did, he called Steve a bunch of expletives and said that he was a lot of things. And to me, that's heartbreaking. You don't do that to somebody. And you certainly don't ignore their death. And that's what it seemed like Tracii Guns did. But then people mourn in silence, but he hasn't said anything. And nobody thinks he's mourning. I don't think he's mourning. But they could do the next best thing, which is what Rat does without one of their 5 original members. LA Guns could get back together. It could be Phil, Tracy, Kelly, and Mick. It could be. And don't tell me Mick doesn't want to play. He wants to play, I think, if you make him a decent offer. And if you have to up the money for crying out loud. I'm talking about an LA Guns reunion. Even if it's just for a tour, just do it. The fans would love it, you know? And have Kelly up there. And the thing is, like, as much as it may pain Phil and Tracy to admit, because they are the quintessential lead singer, lead guitarist band, like your Aerosmith type, you know what I mean? Your Pantera, the list goes on and on and on. It's honestly, I'm thinking of Cocked and Loaded. I'm thinking of the original record, the self-titled. I'm thinking of Vicious Circle. I'm thinking of Hollywood Vampires. Kelly and Mick are responsible for a lion's share of the LA Guns catalog. And these are 2 guys that you could bring back. And, you know, for the drums, you know, it could really be anybody. Anybody, meaning it could not anybody, but there's nobody in the LA Guns roster from previous years that would automatically be my idea to play behind Steve's kit, because nobody has that cred in the LA Guns history of a Steve Riley. Nobody comes close, you know? So when I meant anybody, I meant it could be people from the past LA Guns incarnations, or it could be totally new people, but it would have to be somebody, it would have to be someone that has a name. Like, you stick a guy back there that no one's ever heard of, they're cutting their teeth. No, you got to put someone back there that is known. And again, it may cost you, but I'm talking about investing, not losing the money, Tracy, Phil, but investing the money into being able to make Mick an offer that he probably won't refuse. The same for Kelly, and the same for this sort of high-profile rock drummer that would be playing Steve's kit. Now that is a package tour, guys. That's money. The money you put in, you make it back 4 or 5 times. You know what I mean? But then you also pay Mick and Kelly a good amount of money back. Everybody can make good money. You can make more money, and that's okay, as long as the people that you're making more money than are getting enough to keep them interested. You know, you don't want to have somebody getting a check every week and doing C quality work. You want to keep them interested. You know, this is business 101. You want incentive. You want the ability to move up. And in this case, moving up would be making more money. Even though Phil and Tracy, you will make more than everyone else. Everyone else is still making so much that they're okay with that. If you could do that, and that doesn't have to do with a single note, a single lyric, that's business 101. If you could even hate each other. But the idea would be that you would like each other, ideally, you know? But you could make so much money, guys, and make the fans happy, but you won't do it. And I just don't understand that. So I hope Kelly Nichols continues Riley's LA Guns, which I think would be very fitting, especially since Steve is no longer with us, to keep him alive in that sense, to show him honor in that sense, and also from a legal standpoint, not expose Kelly to any liability, not expose Golden Robot to any liability, you know, and just kind of keep it status quo in the legal sense, and just keep creating and pushing the card and just killing it for Riley's LA Guns, now led by Kelly Nichols. And keep that band going and find a drummer like the drummer that you would use for a LA Guns reunion tour, somebody that's, you know, on a high level, and keep killing it that way. But either way, though, I really think these guys need to look at the bigger picture and just employ a little bit of business 101, and they can make it work. Like I said, you don't have to like each other, which is kind of, you know, it makes me want to make a video on Skid Row. I mean, it's clear those guys don't like each other, but the fans would do anything. We saw Guns N' Roses get back together. We still haven't seen Skid Row. And I feel like LA Guns is making the same mistake. Now, Tracy will argue that, you know, LA Guns is a much smaller band in terms of sales than Skid Row. Maybe. But I think today it's kind of a wash. because I think it's the same giant audience that like LA Guns and like Skid Row, and probably don't think, well, you know what? Back in the 1990s, there was about a million and a half record unit difference between the two bands. So I think I'm going to listen to Skid Row more than I'm going to listen to LA Guns because they sold 1.5 million. Nobody thinks like that. At this point, if you are a recognizable 80s band or early 90s, 80s inspired band, chances are you're going to know all of the others. You know what I mean? Chances are that, now maybe Tough, Stevie may not like this, but Tough, because Stevie had a Metal Sludge and keeps the brand alive, a lot of people that are from that time are discovering Tough because they were not that big. They didn't have enough time. They were very big when they were big, but they didn't have time when they were big to become like an Autograph. Now, Autograph's a huge band, right? But they really only sold gold level. And except for Turn Up the Radio, I don't know a single Autograph song. But they've got a song, and their name is in the conversation for me. I may not know a lot about them, but I know that they're a band from the 80s. They had a hit single, and that's about all I know. But that's better than not knowing anything. Now, I know Tough because I read Metal Sludge, but, unless I discovered Tough today, I wouldn't say, oh man, those bands, like in conversation, or if I was drunk, oh man, those bands in the 80s, man, Motley and Rat and Dokken and Tough. No, I wouldn't say that if I didn't know Tough, and most people don't. Now they're discovering them today, and the internet's helped them a lot, and Metal Sludge helped them a lot, and that's fantastic. But I'm talking about bands that you just think of when you think of the 80s, and LA Guns is one of those bands, and Skid Row is one of those bands. And to Tracy's point, if that was his point, which I think it would be, LA Guns is a much smaller band than Skid Row, that doesn't apply to us. It does, and it especially does today, because anybody that's heard of LA Guns has heard of Skid Row and vice versa, and I don't think that they would necessarily listen to Skid Row over LA Guns for really any reason at this point. So my thing to you is, an LA Guns full reunion in 2024 could make as much money if marketed properly. You got to work with people who know what the hell they're doing, as a Skid Row reunion would. And I know you guys are thinking, what are you talking about? There's no way. And I'd agree with you up until about the early 2000s, mid 2000s. We are in 2024. So no, I don't think that a Skid Row reunion would dramatically outsell an LA Guns reunion. The only difference is Skid Row still have the ability to get all 5 original members on stage, and LA Guns does not. I mean, what are you guys waiting for? What is the deal? The only thing I can think of is you hate each other so much you're not even willing to make money. And that, to me, especially for you, Trace, seems very hard to believe.